I am up. Let's see.
Here I
We're
am.
live, right? Gotcha. That was it for us.
That was it for us, bro.
So now we know you can use the iPhone. Hi everybody. We're running a little late. I'm having technical difficulties. It happens. Whatever. We're old. So we are live on X right now too, and we're live on Rumble. So we'll see if we get some people come in or join in the chat. I have the live chat open. If some of our friends that like to hang out with us on the drive want to drop us a comment, they can do that. That's it. For our friend Edward, who was going to join us tonight, dude just can't remember his account password. So listen, it happens to everybody. I do
Happens to
recommend
everybody.
do not write them down in a notebook and put them in your filing cabinet because that is exactly where the criminal's going to go. Go find all your passwords and steal your life. Find a different way. Use a passcode manager, something. Text it to your kid. Hey, write this down for me. What's my Rumble password?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. All right, so well, that's fixed, and I got. Obviously, we're up on video now too. We were audio last time. I had to renew my subscription to get the video back, which is why I don't know what it looks like on your screen, but our video will be live right now on Rumble and on
Oh, it
X. So
is
good to
live.
see. Yeah, good. Yeah, good to see you. Good to see you,
Excellent.
Paul.
Yeah. Okay.
After
Yep.
that, what was that? Last 40 minutes of oh, tech support gone wrong, right?
Yep.
So
That's how it goes, especially with old folks.
yeah, yeah. You try to work the bugs out beforehand, and I got a text from him. I'm going to tell you, Paul. I got a text from him at like 5. He's like, I'm in. I'm in. I was like, great. I'll send you the link. So, Edward, if you're watching this, we love you, brother.
Hello.
We love you.
In
Wait.
in the right hand drawer of my desk, there's that long red cable for. I need that because I'm going dead. Yeah. Had to get a little technical assistance here, brother.
Gotta get some juice.
Got to get some juice.
So I've got an update. Well, I've been going through trying to get everything connected. I'll try to connect more of our lives later. I just wanted to get on. We're on. We're on. We're live. We're with video. Um, but I also was looking at my Substack, and there was the story of St. Patrick. I vaguely remembered it, so I went and just took a quick scroll down the internet. Grok is awesome, right? And I was like reminding me about this St. Patrick and what his story is. And so I wrote it down. I posted that over to Substack. I saw one of our buddies, Liz. If you're listening on X right now, Liz Severe, went and subscribed to the Substack. Thank you, Liz. Much appreciated. Uh, but I did want to talk about it since it is St. Patrick's Day still, right? So
Absolutely.
this did do you know much about him? Do you know much about the story? I mean, I'm not gonna go for an
No, I
hour,
do
but
not. Yeah, I
okay.
don't. I just I wear green and try to show my allegiance to my heritage, you know. But other than that, I
So
haven't done any
and
research.
that's standard, right? That's
Yeah,
everybody. And Americans obviously turn everything into a drinking holiday. So the first thing I found out is it was a dry holiday up until about the 1840s. I shit you not.
really.
Because it's a celebration of Christianity. No, Americans don't do things
Okay.
that way. Americans don't do things this way. So, St. Paul, I have his name is in the Substack. I didn't write it down on my notebook. His actual name. In the 400s, born in most likely Scotland or maybe Wales on the island of England. When he was 16 years old, a bunch of Irish bandits, 16 years old, came over, kidnapped him and a bunch of other people, and put him into slavery. So for the next 7 years, he was animal farmer. He tended to livestock as a slave. And
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah.
during that time, you know, because he was only 16 when he was captured and enslaved, is when he decided, you know what, all this stuff my parents and my grandparents have been telling me about God, I'm going to start paying more attention to. And when he was able to read as a slave or learn things as a slave, he kept learning about the Orthodox Christianity, sect of Christianity. And 7 years after he'd been there, he claimed he'd heard in a dream, "Your ship is waiting for you." And he took that as a divine sign from God that it was time to escape, walk 200 miles to the nearest port, and get on a ship back to England.
Wow.
So he gets back to England, goes to college for theology, becomes an Orthodox priest. Some say potentially, because it's not in his writings or his memoir, potentially even a bishop level. And 4 or 5 years later, gets the idea, he gets another divinity speaking to him and says, "You should go back. You should go back to Ireland, but this time not as a
Right.
slave, to free slaves, and show them Jesus Christ." So he goes back to
But
Ireland
as a Catholic, not as
as
Orthodox,
a
or
Christian Orthodox.
oh, Christian
So
Orthodox.
the
Okay.
confusion here is because they both have liturgy, right? Unlike a Baptist church.
Right. Yeah.
So
Hmm.
since he is liturgy, he's he's a man of power. We don't have men of power in the Baptist church, right? There's no hierarchy all the way up to like in the Catholic Church, a pope. In the Orthodoxy, it's
Sure.
head bishop or whatever it is. Anyways, he goes back. He to much to their dismay, because they're mostly Roman Catholic in this period in the mid 400s AD. But he does the good fight. He builds churches. He builds discipleships. He leads pastors, and that's where he became known as the patron saint of Ireland, by showing them what was called Christianity, although to us it's Orthodox Christianity at the time, and built churches and drove the snakes. Snakes is a metaphor, right, for demons
Right.
out of Ireland. That's the story of St. Patrick. I've got it in much more detail on the Substack. If you guys are watching this later, you can go check it out. The account's the same, at Sean Strom. But I found that interesting. I'd heard it before, Paul, but I was just like, I'm gonna check it out again. And I was talking with somebody, and I was like, it's a Christian holiday. And they're like, no, it's a party holiday. I was like, well, of course it's. America's turned everything into a party holiday.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I was like, but no. It's a Christian holiday. And so I went back and looked it up, and basically that's the story of St. Patrick and how we have St. Patrick's Day.
So, I didn't realize that it was not pure Catholic. It was Orthodox. I did not know that at all. And so, you know, if you look at Eastern Europe, there are three religious sects, right? Orthodox, Cath, Catholicism,
Yep.
and Muslim. And, they're broken down within uh, Eastern Europe by region mostly. It was mostly, regional where the Orthodox were and stuff.
Right.
So, by example, in Ukraine, Zelensky banned the Orthodox Christian religion,
Specifically Russian Orthodox, yes.
specifically Russian Orthodox, but the variations are, there's also Serbian Orthodox, there's
Right.
Hungarian Orthodox, Romanian, but they're all basically follow the same path, right? And so
Yes.
he got rid of them, or he banned them because they were building an alliance uh, to to unseat him in power.
Isn't that how most right? That's how all these wars start. It's always about religion. And I've had some really good conversations with Edward about that too. It's about religion. It's always been about religion, and so banning in Ukraine in 2014 ish, right? Was Zelensky starting to ban Russian Orthodox, meaning when they went to service, they're also, because they're Russian Orthodox, they're speaking the Russian language for their service as opposed to the more
That's
Western
correct.
Ukrainian region. Whereas, like
Yep.
even in American Orthodox Christian churches, they still speak either Greek or Hebrew, mostly Greek,
Mostly Greek. Yep.
because they were conquered by Greek Romans, right? So it's yeah, yeah. You just start walking through all this stuff. It gets wild, but I thought that was an interesting story. And then I saw a funny online because I posted that to X too, and someone made a comment that oh, a German made a comment, said, well, I'm a German who's now an American citizen, and we don't think it's a drinking holiday. We think it was a Christian holiday. Someone posted below, don't worry, we celebrate Oktoberfest too. She goes, you're a dummy. In Germany, we only use that to attract tourists. I was like,
Right on.
sounds good.
You're right. Yeah, that's good. Yep.
What do you think about these Trump starting this path towards undoing Biden's auto-pinned pardons? You got any thoughts?
Yeah, it's absolutely the right play. Uh, you can think whatever you want or put together any kind of defense, but at the end of the day, if he is auto pinning the last 3 or 4 weeks in office, that everything that he did is null and void because there is a high likelihood that there were people running his party for him that were doing that, and he was just wandering around in the woods, like he is wont to do. So yeah, I think there is now. Now, do I also think it is a strong enough argument that it needs to be argued out in court, not just a blanket. No, no, he ought to end. Therefore, it's no good. No, we need to have the judicial branch look at it and make a determination on it. That's what I think.
So I'm with you, and best I can tell, there's no precedent for what Trump did.
There is no, yeah, yeah, absolutely not. Yeah,
It wasn't an executive order; it was a decree via True Social, right? But I think what he did is it's going to force people like Adam Kinzinger or Liz Cheney, if they're really freaking out about this, not having this pardon, they're going to file a lawsuit, which then starts the whole process. So he's putting the ball in their court,
right,
and forcing them to do it, and I
right.
think it's good. And do have press Autopin's been around for quite a while. When they're sending out invitations to a ball, or when they're sending out letters back from when kid students write in, or when veterans write in, or something, he might dictate it, but then to get a wet signature on the paper, they use an auto pen. That's standard practice.
Yeah.
We ours
So
was
what? Yeah,
digital, but we had digital auto pen for our CFO if we needed to do a financial
absolutely. And
in the
in the
government.
defense industry that I'm in, we use that all the time. Our contracting officer putting even as low as the NDA or a teaming agreement or a joint venture agreement those are all auto signed and nobody prints out the document, hand signs it, scans it, and sends it back to the other guy.
Not in the
It
last
just doesn't
decade.
happen that way. Yeah.
Not in the last decade.
Yeah, not in
So
the last decade. Right.
right. So that's when you get I'm just looking at because people are all freaking out. Oh, good, they're all null and void. Liz Cheney's going to jail. Not so fast. But I think what it starts to look into is now can we look is was he even in the room? Okay, well that all right. If he was in the room and the auto pen was used, now we got to ask the question: did he know what was in front of him? Did he know what was being auto signed? Right. And I'm going to venture no, based on what 2 years ago with the documents
Right.
case. They said he's a well-meaning
Right.
old forgetful man who means well, saying we can't, and then said we can't put him on trial because we won't find a jury to convict. They'll be sympathetic of
Right.
his. They didn't want to say the words, but of his cognitive ability,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
That's exactly right. Yeah.
and that's where, because there are no legislation on this specific thing other than the 25th Amendment, which should have been used here. It also should have been used with Woodrow Wilson. But his wife did the same thing for the last year and a half of his presidency. After he had a stroke, she hid him in a bedroom, infirmed, and limited all access to him so that people didn't know
Yep.
he was infirmed.
Yep.
And she was the auto pen. There's proof of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Of the time, she really was. She was literally making no decisions, which also wasn't right. But
And signing laws
you know,
as him,
yeah.
Woodrow
Yeah.
Wilson. She just practiced over and over until she got it, right? So you got two of those now that you can look at, and first you got to legislate. But I think for immediate injunction, you're going to have to get this up to the Supreme Court, and the only way to do that is to sue the federal government. And so by Trump just putting this out as a post, right? I think people are going to freak out, and it might not be Liz Cheney or Adam Kinzinger or Fauci or any of the ones that got a pardon. It's going to be one of the PACs that are trying to protect these people. They're going to file a
100%,
lawsuit.
dude. Yeah.
Boom. As soon as the lawsuit's filed, we can start discovery.
Yeah. Yeah.
Game
And
on.
I gotta say, I just I really hate to see that we overuse the Supreme Court. Because they really do pick and choose what fights they want to take on. And I
Absolutely.
think, there it's just it's so much, Sean. It's just so much. And you can't take everything to the Supreme Court. And I think those on the left that are extreme left, that's what they want to see. They want to wear out the Supreme Court to where they say, nope,
Were you
we're just not
aware?
looking at it.
So that as the government grew, the population grew, there was more of a need for Supreme Court to look at things and say whether it's constitutional or not. That's their only job. Not whether it's lawful, not whether it's legal, whether it's constitutional.
Correct.
This is why
Yep.
they asked for help, and through between the judiciary and Congress. That's when they came up with the federal district courts, so that they could hand out the work. It wasn't supposed to be another tier at the time. It was supposed to be, okay, you're going to work the cases from Georgia and Alabama. You're going to work the cases from,
Yeah.
Indiana and Illinois. You're going to work the cases from
Yep.
Washington, Oregon. That's the way it was designed. And it's turned into this monstrosity that it is today, which obviously we all know Soros spent money well and turned them into activist district judges that have at least limited federal power. But this guy that sent back the one of the Tren de Agua planes, two of them, I think three in total. We don't know for sure about the third plane. But his jurisdiction is basically Florida and Georgia. So if the Tren de Agua that were captured are from Florida and Georgia, what do you want us to do? Just parachute them back to you? Because the rest of them you have no jurisdiction over,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And you can't make the call after the bird's off the ground and in international airspace.
Yep,
So,
7 miles
and
out.
yeah, on top of that, it happens to be the same judge that did this, that, the other for for the FISA warrants and Carter Page and all that. So this guy doesn't have any standing. He's not legitimate to have any standing. And if it were me running stuff, I would call him immediately into the Judicial Oversight Committee of the Congress and say, you tell me what your basis is. What's the basis of your argument? You quote me the constitutional amendment that you are citing to bring these folks back and have them come before you, only you, to decide whether they get expelled or not. You quote that to me, dude,
Yep,
because you're just you're running amok. That and you don't have that right to, control the executive branch. The executive branch has lots of freedoms to uh, enforce these rules and stuff. So I would take that. I think it's Rosenberg or Rosenbaum is his name. I would bring him before the committee and go, tell us, you tell us your argument, dude, because we don't know what your argument is.
absolutely. I do find it pretty hilarious that he's now demanding information from them on these specific flights. Now, and our DOJ has said, fine, we won't send any more. We'll just send everyone to Louisiana until you can get over your temper tantrum. But you're asking stuff about already deported terrorists. They're designated terrorists. The president has designated the entire group, Tren de Aragua, terrorist organization. They're terrorists. They went back. You're asking specifics about those cases, and they cited to the judge today. I was reading something. Brianna Morello, I believe. There's so many good people on X, but I believe Brianna Morello had a transcript I was reading. It was hilarious. They're like, the judge is like, I want this. They're like, no, national security reasons. Well, the
Yeah,
judge is, well, I need
yeah.
to understand why they were deported. And they said, no, national security reasons. We can't share
No,
that with you.
no, you don't.
No, you
Yeah,
don't.
that's not your purview. That's
No,
not your
you
swim
don't have
lane.
clearance.
Just calm down, dude.
You don't have clearance. You don't have that level of clearance. This is way above your clearance.
That's right.
You're not going to get it.
And there's a pretty good chance that you might go to federal prison for all your FISA shenanigans that you did with Carter Page and all,
I
So
guess
you
some of
need,
his, I guess some
here's
of
a
his
whole
family,
pocket full of calm down.
I guess some of his family was on the take from USAID on stuff that he was blocking Trump from ending at USAID. I mean, completely a nutso activist job. Like in the it wasn't a ton. I don't say a ton, but like 13 or 14 million dollars worth of contracts his family had canceled, and then he ordered Trump to pay anyways. Same judge.
Oh, I didn't know that.
A
Oh
loser.
my gosh, dude.
A loser. Yeah, he's like, oh, that's where all my money was coming from. It's not from doing this district court judge, making whatever I make, 180 grand a year. I should have stayed in the private side, just did criminal law. Been a defense
Yeah,
attorney.
exactly right.
Uh, God, they
And
get paid better.
we talked about this uh last night, Sean, about when I was working narcotics in Florida, how hard it was. I mean, really tough to go from getting a pin register on a phone number to getting an actual wiretap, because that is such a breach of privacy that you just really had to have all your ducks in a row in order for a judge, no matter who elected him, to have a judge sign off on it. And in the 19th judicial, which was South Florida at the time, I learned so much from our judge, um, that would, look at all the uh, stuff that we had gathered, and he would read it and go, yeah, you know what? You need to do this. You need to do that. You need to add this. If I had a little more of this, I'd feel more comfortable about it. And
Right.
we're a bunch of 20 something year old, hard charging uh dope cops going, no, this you know what I mean? And I
Like,
learned
we
so
got
much
him. I
from
promise we
these.
got him. He's like, you don't got him.
Yeah, yeah,
You don't got him.
right. You don't got them. Did you think about this? Well, no, we didn't. Okay. You need to think about that. You need to go and collect that kind of intel and add it to your warrant and bring it back to me. I mean, it really was like that. You just couldn't willy nilly do, and I told you this before, you willy nilly couldn't do a wiretap on a guy that had a 45-foot Hatteras that was named the marijuana hauler. You know,
Right?
you know what I mean? You
Yeah,
you actually had to have some probable cause on that, dude. You just couldn't do it.
absolutely. That makes total sense to me. So, look, Cash Patel's one of the smartest guys I know. I'm sure he's going to be helping Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi was very effective in Florida, and a lot of people are beating up on her, and
We
I get
love
it.
Pam Bondi, and law enforcement loved Pam Bondi when she was in Florida, no doubt, dude.
Right. So, I'm not. I'm also not going to be one to tell you, Al. You stop telling her to calm down. Say whatever you want. It's the internet. Post to your heart's content. Get on there, and I mean, just tell her whatever you're going to tell her. I don't know if she's going to read any of them. But so, hey, listen, it's your time on the internet. Spend it how you want. But I think, like, everyone's still screaming, "Oh, now we get the JFK files tomorrow." On that, real quickly, we're not going to find out anything we didn't already know. We're just going to get it in a whole lot of detail. But it takes a long time to set up a prosecution, back to your point. And so if Pam's going to actually, for the first time ever, prosecute somebody besides uh, Ghislaine Maxwell, she's going to have to actually do the work. You're just not going to see it. And the
Yep.
second thing is knowing that public knowledge is assumed. It's assumed. I'm gonna allege it that he was an asset. I'm not saying, I'm alleging it for all legal intents and purposes. X or Rumble or whoever wants to sue me, Ghislaine Maxwell. Right. So then it gets into means and methods, and they're never gonna release any means and methods. You're just not gonna get. You're just not gonna get anything with the Epstein files. You
You're
might get
you're not going to
prosecution.
get anything that you could prosecute with. There's just nothing there that you're going to be able to bring a case.
Right.
You can sensationalize it and go, "Oh, look,
So
these
and so
15 people were on
celebrity
the
was
flight
there.
log." Well,
Right.
they were on the flight log and they went to the island. Did you got any proof that they diddled any uh juveniles? No, you don't.
No.
So,
No. And again, were aware there was video surveillance everywhere used in part of a honeypot operation. That's going to go into means and methods. Never going to make it into a lawsuit. It's never going to make it into a criminal prosecution, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So everyone's going to be really disappointed. They're going to point the finger at Pam, and there's nothing I can do to stop that. But
So to that point, that's a great point, Sean, because I got to tell you, in the 80s and 90s, when I was actively, you know, I I've been the affiant on over 200 search warrants, and I I learned a lot on being the affiant or the writer of the search warrant, right? I
yeah,
think today it's different than in my day. I think it's much easier now, and there's a lower bar, to meet those requisites based on politics than it was during my day. I mean, we
probably so.
spent in Florida, man, we spent millions of dollars investigating Noriega and trying to put a case together and trying to build his or arrest his or do search warrants on his organization that was operating freely in Florida, wide open, uh, trying to do that stuff. And, unfortunately, not unfortunately, that's not the right way to say it, but we, you know, we weren't one to take shortcuts, but we were like, man, we're so close. If we could just take a shortcut here. And our judges, I mean, right down to the person, no matter what their political affiliation was, they were not having it. If you didn't have all your T's crossed and I's dotted and all that kind of stuff, you were not getting a warrant. You were not getting a PIN register. You were not getting a wiretap. Dude, I wrote the very first uh, search warrant on a mobile phone in Florida in 1987. It had
Wow.
never been done before. Yeah, and I was the first one to do it, and it took me almost a year because I kept going back to the judge, and he was thoughtful, and he would say, "Look, man, yeah, I know this guy's a bad guy. You know it, and I know it. He's a bad guy, but you've got to do this, 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 and this before I'm going to sign off on it." And we're
Sure.
like, "Oh, dude, we grabbed his trash. We ran a fleur over his house, and all that kind of stuff." And he's like, "Nope, I'm just not doing it until you have this, this, and this." And I think
Well,
that doesn't exist anymore, is
I
what
don't,
I'm getting at.
I don't think it does, and I also think he was looking out for both parties, but looking out for you guys in doing so by saying, look, they can come back with a high-priced, multi-million-dollar defense team that says they're growing sulcata tortoise, or they're growing green iguanas, and that's what all the heat's coming
Yeah.
from, right?
Yeah.
And no, and I think this goes back into the breakdown of the district court level federal judiciary, which has
Yeah.
been just totally corrupted, and as active as they're only one sided. Super easy to get all kinds of Trump calls it. There was wiretaps everywhere. You could see wires hanging all out of the Trump Tower. There was wires everywhere. Oh, there were so many wires. These big, beautiful wires. But when you like it's fine. MSNBC can make fun of it, but we all laughed. We thought it was hilarious because that's just the way Trump talks. So
Right.
we thought it was hilarious. We knew what he meant.
Yeah.
There was surveillance on him, illegal surveillance, unconstitutional surveillance that was meant to only be
Absolutely.
done to people overseas, not just overseas, that we believed were conducting acts against the United States. Right? So,
Yeah.
so many wiretaps.
Beautiful wiretaps.
They were so beautiful. You've never seen wiretaps that beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, I can't fix that today. I just look. I saw a lot of people online excited about the Bobby files, uh, Bobby Senior. I hope there's internet sleuths out there that are going to run this stuff through AI, and there's going to be all kinds of cool stuff after that drops. They'll be able to put that into
Yeah.
AI, and in 10 or 15 minutes, just process it and ask it questions. Was there two shooters? Was it the CIA? The answer,
Yeah.
right? A lot of the answers you're gonna know. Some of it you might get some details, but uh, I I think a lot of these are just nothing burgers that were long overdue. And we just overclassify stuff, and this is going to prove that we way overclassify things,
Absolutely. Yeah.
right?
And as she even said, you're asking the wrong questions on JFK. You're asking the wrong questions. And guess what? You're not going to get any satisfaction from what's been released because you already know the stuff that hasn't been released. When it gets released, you're going to go, oh, we already knew that.
We already knew that, and that's what he
Yeah.
said, right? Remember when he said that on a podcast? Is you
Yeah.
all the questions you've asked have been answered. They're
Yeah.
answered. Go
Yeah.
review
You're
the
not asking the right questions.
right is what he said.
Yeah.
So, so when this information dump comes out, it's supposed to be tomorrow. We'll see. Um, ah, listen, there's some really good like that Data Republican account on X, really good data sleuths that use AI. They might find a few interesting things, but I think it's I mean it's like a bonfire that's been rained on for 3 days. You're going to be lucky
Oh
if
yeah.
you start it with dynamite.
Oh yeah. They're gonna go. Oh, the guy rented the car. Oh my
Right,
god. It's gonna be that kind of stuff. You know.
right, and
Yeah. Oh, the guy stayed in this hotel. Uh, okay.
okay. And he's a
And
Caprice instead of a Lincoln. He's a Caprice guy. He's a Chevy guy.
yeah.
What does that say about Chevy people? You know it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
People will totally be, oh, he didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express. If he would have stayed in a Holiday Inn Express, he would have had no problems.
Oh my
Oh.
god, dude. Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to look into this one. Trump pulls Secret Service from Hunter and Ashley Biden. I don't think, and I get a chance to look into this meeting. I don't know if, other than Barron, Melania, and Trump had Secret Service protection for the last 4 years. I'm making a big leap of faith assumption that the other four kids just paid for their own and that the government wasn't paying for theirs. And the only reason they covered Barron is because he lived in house with the former FLOTUS, right, before he went to NYU. And he does have protection there. I probably should have, but why Hunter? There was like, it says between the two, Hunter and Ashley, 33 full-time Secret Service agents between the two of them. After, I don't see. Does anyone see a threat against them? I don't see any political activity against the Bidens. I really don't. I see a lot of talk about lock them up and just dumb stuff people say. I don't see any threats of violence, and if there is, okay, then maybe you reduce it. Trump eliminated it. That's fine. But again, Trump is well within his right to eliminate that and send it elsewhere, wherever those agents he deems are needed. He's within his right, but I'm just looking at it and going, I don't know the difference between the 4 years when Trump wasn't president and were all his kids protected by Secret Service or not. I don't know. And again, then you look.
So how that works, Sean, is he's within his rights to cancel that Secret Service thing, but it will automatically generate an RFP to go out to security. It'll go to private security.
So third party.
It yeah. It'll go to third party. There won't be degradation of security, for Hunter and all that.
Okay.
It'll just go from Secret Service to a contracted private security. It'll still be the same level, but it just won't be coming out of the budget of the Secret Service. That's how that works.
All right. So when that happens, is that also still funded federally, or is that do the?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
So
It's
either
federal
way, we're
contract. Yeah.
so it's just
Yeah.
a
So State Department or DOJ or whatever will put out a contract, and then
so it's
you
just
take.
it's a clickbait headline then. It's a clickbait headline
It's
for everyone to go,
absolutely a
yay!
clickbait.
See,
Yeah, it'll
Trump
be
just saved us money.
it'll
He
be
doged them.
Blackwater or executive outcomes or one of those guys that'll pull it up, and they'll do the same, and they'll have the same level of protection.
Yeah.
It's just not coming out of the Secret Service budget. It's coming out of DOJ budget. Which is the next level up.
Sure. I think that's
And
fine.
that's what they did with Trump's kids when he wasn't the president. They outsourced all of that.
Okay. And then Trump hired some of them off of, he poached them. They were working.
You
Remember
know
what,
what I
like,
love?
he
I
poached those
love
guys
that.
to work his campaign alongside of,
Yeah,
because Joe Biden wasn't
yeah,
providing enough Secret Service.
yep.
Well, I mean, I don't have Trump money, but I sure don't blame Trump for poaching people.
No, hell no. Yeah.
So, all right, well all right, so that's a nothing burger, and that's good to know. So, and because a
Let's
lot of
talk
people,
about Houthis.
I'm telling you, yes, because I'm telling you, a lot of people are like, "Yay, this is a win," and I'm like, I don't see the win, and
Nah, it's not a win.
it's not even a win. We're just transferring it from one
No.
department to another.
Yeah, they're just taking it off Secret Service plate and putting it on a third party vendor who will be paid out of DOJ.
Right. All right. You want to start the Houthis? I got to get up for just a second.
So I think the Houthis don't know what they have done. And they have, of course, they're, you know, cave dwellers that have gone through some training to fire missiles and launch drones and stuff like that, but they don't know what they're doing. And it's it's what we call uh, a really easy target. So those guys are just going to be not doing well. And the only regret I have is a lot of those Houthis are in Sana'a, and I've been to Sana'a in Yemen, and I've got to tell you, that place is so beautiful because it is absolutely the Old Testament preserved. I mean, there are some modern buildings and modern construction and stuff in Sanaa, but the greatest portion of that are these mud buildings that have been around, since the beginning of Christ. It is just, it's so beautiful that they are, uh, uh,
Right. Well, and there's
maintaining,
i-
that.
in those two areas, right? A lot of the stuff you get to see it. A lot of tourists may not, unless there's some super sleuthy tourists that can pull it off and wear the proper garb and do the things. And but there's mentions from the Old Testament of towns in all those areas, and they still
Yeah.
exist. That's what you're saying, but they still
And yeah, and
exist,
they
and
still
you
live
can
in those
visit them.
buildings.
Right.
They still live in those buildings, and everyone is covered. Only the eyes are open, and every man has, you know what a Gurkha or
Yep.
Gukri knife is, and
No, but
has the full garb on, and every one of them, day to day. That's just the
right.
way Sanaa is. And then there is there's a Sheraton, for God's sake.
Yes.
There's an Intercontinental Hotel in that little downtown area, has got modern cafes and restaurants and all that kind of stuff. But all
Yeah.
of the outlying areas is just right out of the Old Testament, dude. It's
Absolutely.
just amazing. I really, really love that city.
I mean, it's cool, but the Houthis, since they've got a little bit of training, a little bit of autonomy, right? They've been
Yep.
doing their thing. They're popping off, and they made a threat against the United States and the West again today, and said we're just only gonna we're gonna ramp up. You are not allowed to travel this sea passage if you're from the West. And I looked at that and I said, they're using the calculation FA equals FO because Trump's about to make them FO. They just don't know it because they had 4 years of Biden, and
Yep.
they don't remember Trump. Maybe
Yep.
for whatever reason, they don't remember that Trump will just do it. They
Yep.
don't remember that before Trump, Obama would just do it.
Yep.
So,
Just make a wasteland out of it. And I so
right,
my only
historical
thing is,
buildings and stuff.
my only thing is architecturally. That's such a great city. I hate to see it pummeled to death because of the architecture and literally these mud 4-story buildings that I saw, that people have been living in literally for 1,000 years. And I
Right.
just hate to see that lay waste.
Well, and I wonder if there's a way. Uh, 4 years of advancement is a lot. It was probably 4 or 5 or 6 years because Trump was using what was built at the time. If they can just be even more precise in their targeting, not the weapons. Most of the weapons should be fine. The strategic pinpoint weapons, but just the actual space targeting from the satellites.
Yeah. Yep.
So, and we know Space Force has launched a bunch of assets that they're classified. They don't ever tell us in their press releases, but I usually watch their launches just because. Uh, look, I've been watching space launches since STS. I mean, we had back when computers were finally a thing in the house, before they were, Paul, actually, because we had a computer because my dad did flight information systems for the airports, and he had to be able to dial into whether it was DALAs or ORD and debug a local code, so that the boards on that would say delayed or on time or arriving then, like that they were all working properly. So we partially through funding from the company and partially funded by mom and dad. We had a computer early, but since that, we also had access to the internet a little bit earlier than the rest of the world. And there was this fantastic program back on those old CRT green screens that still
Yep.
could do graphics, but it was just barely. There was this
Yep.
program called Space Shuttle Tracker, but you had to be online. And so we would track space shuttle launches back to like STS 17, that far back. And Dad had just come pounding on me and my brother's door at like 4 in the morning. Go, we got 5 minutes to be in the driveway. We're going to look north. Who wants the binoculars? I'll tell you exactly where it's going to be. And that program was dead on for every time. We could see the space
Wow.
shuttle or the space station. It would tell you exactly where they're at.
That's awesome.
So I've been following space launches ever since, and it's so easy now, right? I just click on the SpaceX is live. Click. I
Yep.
don't have to do
Yeah.
anything. So, but because of that, I know there's been a bunch of Space Force launches. So that's I'm just hoping we have a. I'm hoping our pinpoint precision is good. I we can't let them do this to the West, and they're not just doing it to the West; they're doing it to other countries. They're just Somali pirates at this point. They'll
They're
shoot they'll
just
shoot
pirates. That's
anything.
all.
They'll steal anything.
Yeah.
They'll do that bad
Yeah.
word
They're
to
cave, cave dwelling goat eaters. They just,
who've been trained to fire an
you know,
RPG.
they're, 70 IQ at the most.
Right. So it'll be interesting because again they sent a threat back today, sometime mid afternoon Eastern time, that they're going to ramp up attacks and that Western ships are not allowed through that passage. And without us using that passage, I think it adds like 2 days to journeys, and then you have to go around the Horn of Africa to come back
No,
in
not
the
two
middle of
days, 2 weeks and
2 weeks.
$7 million
$7 million per ship, right?
per ship.
It's gonna stop.
Yeah. That's
It's gonna
not going to
stop, or we're gonna
continue. Yep.
listen. It's gonna stop, or we're gonna turn Gaza into a canal.
Yep.
I mean,
100%,
if you don't
dude.
want Gaza to be a canal,
Oh, you want a river to the sea? Yeah, we'll build one for you and
we're
we'll
gonna make you
control it.
one, and it's gonna be the
Yeah.
biggest, most beautiful canal you've ever
Yeah.
seen. Yeah, and it's gonna be called the Trump Canal.
Yep.
Deal with it. I don't see that as, I mean, because that's been proposed for a long time, and I don't think Trump's into that unless Iran stops, and he doesn't want to go to full war with Iran. He'll just go screw you. There's other things like that's Trump always has negotiating chips, and that's one of them, is to dig a canal straight through the Gaza Strip and
Yeah.
just
100%, dude.
eliminate
Yep.
Africa from this equation, right?
Yeah. 100%. Yep.
You got anything else you want to get off about the Houthis? We got about 5 minutes left on this thing.
Well, I just, no, I don't really, because I think it's unfortunate um, for them because they've been really sold uh, a bunch of goods from Iran, and Iran will abandon them in a minute
Did you see
once the pressure is
on that?
and they'll be like, wait a minute.
Did you
You
see that?
guys said, yeah,
Did you see that they said, "Oh, we're willing to do a ground invasion on Israel"? Iran hasn't responded, but Houthis said, "Yeah, Iran, we'll just go ahead and go in. We'll invade Israel."
yeah, there's like
They
12
don't.
of them.
They
They
don't
can't
have.
do it.
What are they going to do? With a donkey and 5 goats?
Yeah, it'll take them 6 months to get there from Yemen.
Yeah, no, that's gonna be interesting to watch. I think you're gonna see a lot of videos that come out too. One of the things on this, I've seen a bunch of videos of things blowing up, and like to me, they're videos I already remember, and then I start reading comments or maybe the community notes. And it's like, yeah, this was from 2017 in this country, or this was from 2015, and you're gonna see a lot of clickbaity war videos trying to put
Yeah,
pressure on Trump, and it's not Trump.
yeah,
The stuff Trump's going to do is going to be as close to precision as possible.
absolutely. So the Houthis launched, and I hate to say this, they launched Ukrainian drones against the U.S. Air Forces, which were all immediately shot down. And they still dropped the bombs on the Houthis and stuff. But the drones that the Houthis uh, launched were Ukrainian, and so that's a tell all by itself.
We should get into that Wednesday. So
Yeah,
I kept you late. I'll try to test with Edward tomorrow. Hey, for everybody, anyways, thanks. This was Orange Podcast Bad, episode 2. A couple of dudes hanging out. We will get more streams connected. We definitely had people on Rumble. We had someone on X. We'll get the Stitch back online. We will get the locals back online. The technical difficulties weren't with the streams. It looks like they were with the user, and that's okay. That's absolutely okay. We'll get that figured out. Paul, I'll talk to you soon by phone as I usually do, and we're going to close this one out. Everybody, have a good night.
good night. Thanks, everybody.